Hello and welcome back to our channel. In this lesson, we will explore some of the most commonly used functions for arrays in TypeScript. In TypeScript, functions are an essential part of programming, as we know. They are block of code that can be called multiple times with different input parameters and can return a result. Arrays are also an important data structure that allows us to store multiple values in a single variable. In TypeScript, arrays come with a set of built-in functions that allows us to manipulate them in various ways. Let's explore by the first function that we have for array, and that is the push function. If you look at the description for the push function adds one or more elements to the end of an array, and what it returns is the new length of the array. So as you can see over here, we have one of the array as a string which contains the names of the fruits. So we have apple, banana, cherry, date and elderberry. And if you just console log it, you will see that it will print out the array as is and with a new line as well. Here you can see it prints out the original array and a new line. You can see a white space over here. So starting out with our first function, that is the push function, as you can see over here, it will return as the length of the new array after it adds one or more element into it. So what I will do is I will declare a new variable, let push length is equals to fruits dot push, and then what we will push in is peach. So what this will do is it will add a new element with the name as peach into our fruits array at the end of it. And obviously when you are adding a new element into an array, the size would change. So what this function will do is it will add the element to this array, and also it will return the new length of that function. So obviously we can take advantage of that, and what we will do is we will store that new length into our variable with the name as push length. So let's do a console log over here. And also I will log the new length that is returned. Let's run our code. And now here you can see what it did is previously we had in our original array 5 elements. You can see over here. And then we asked it to add a new element which was peach. So it added that new element. You can see over here. And then obviously the length also changed. So the new length is stored into our variable push length, and which is 6 right now. Now let's move on to our next function, which is pop. So the pop function removes the last element from an array and returns that element. Now over here you can see that it is not returning the length of the overall array, but what it is returning is the element that is being popped out. So let's see how this thing works. So now this time what we will do is we will take pop element as our variable, and then what we will do is we will do fruits dot pop, and then I will console dot log the new array after performing the pop operation, and then also I will log what element has been popped out. Let's run it. So now you can see over here that the last element has been removed, and also you can see that the element returned by the pop function was peach, because this was the last element in our array. So you see how simple these functions are. Let's move on to our next function, which is the shift function. So what does the shift function do? The shift function removes the first element from an array. Now previously the pop function removed the last element from the array, and this time what we are seeing is the shift function, it will remove the first element of the array, and then it will return that first element to the variable if you are assigning it to. So let's do that. Let shift element is equals to fruits dot shift. Now once this operation is performed, whatever is the first element in your array, that will be removed and will be assigned to the variable let shift element. I will do a quick console.log for the new modified array after the shift operation. And then we will also look at the element that is returned by the shift function. Here you go. And now here you can see previously we had apple as our first element, and now after performing the shift operation, you can see that the first element has been removed from this array, and we have other remaining elements of the array listed over here. And you can also see the first element was apple, which was assigned to the variable shift element. Now let's move on to our next function, which is the Unshift function. The Unshift function adds one or more element to the beginning of an array and returns the new length of that particular array that has been modified. So let's see how you can perform the Unshift operation. So for that, I will take a new variable, and then obviously, as we know that it will return us the length, so I will take Unshift length as my variable this time, is equals to fruits dot unshift, and then I will add a new element named as apricot, and now this time this will be added to the first index. Let's do a console.log, and then also we will do a console.log for the new length. And now here you can see previously we had 4 elements, so the length was 4, and now you can see that we have apricot added as our first element and the new length is 5. So this is how the Unshift function works. Now let's look at the slice function. So what will the slice function return is a new array that will contain a subset of the elements of the original array. Now just focus over here that what we will get as a return of the slice function is a new array. Until now we were getting either an element of that array or the length, so it was a single value. Now this time you will be getting an array. So that means if you want to store that array into a variable, you need to declare that variable as an array. So let's do that. So I will take a new array slice array, and then I will define the data type as a string, obviously. So then what we will do is we will do fruits.slice, and then now we need to provide the start and the end index. Now what does that mean? The starting index and the ending index will determine what are the elements that you want to remove from the original array and create a subset out of it. Now let's say I am giving in 1 and 3. Now what this thing will do is it will take out the element at the first index and at the second index and bring it out for us. Now why won't it bring the third index out? Because this is how the function works. Whatever value you are giving in here, it will do n-1 for that case. Now let's do a console.log so that it becomes more clear to us. So now you can see over here what this slice operator did was it created a subset from this array over here, and you can see we gave it the index 1. So this was our first index, and then this is our second index, and then this is our third index. But as I told you, it will do n-1, so we provided 3 as our ending index. So what it will do is it will do 3 minus 1 is equals to 2. So it will just return the 2 values as a subset array, that is banana and cherry, and this is what it is doing over here. So you can see after we perform the slice operation, it is giving us banana and cherry as a subset from our original array. Let's move on to our next function, that is the splice function, and see how this thing works. So the splice function removes element from an array and replaces them with new elements if you want to. But if you don't want to replace them with a new element, it will simply eliminate the indexes that you have provided to it. So let's see how this function works. This time what I will do is I will do a console.log so that you can see what is the array before splice. So obviously we're going to perform it on the fruits, and then this is how you perform the splice operation. Alright, so what we are saying over here is we want to remove the element starting from index 2. And how many elements do we want to remove? We want to remove 2 elements, and we also want to replace one of the element, which is obviously the second index element, with the new element as grape. So let's run it and see what does it do for us. Before that we will do a console.log, and then after the splice function fruits, and obviously this thing will be in the inverted commas like this. Let's run it. And now as you can see over here, we have apricot, banana, cherry, date and elderberry before the splice operation. Now what we said over here was that the index 2. Now index 2 is 0, 1, 2. This is the cherry over here. So after banana, we wanted to remove 2 elements from index 2. So these are the two elements that should have been removed in our case. So you can see after apricot and banana, these two elements are now removed. And then instead of the second element, what we have replaced is grape over here. So you can see we have added grape over here, and then the last element, which was elderberry. In the same way, if you don't want to replace these elements with an optional element, you can just simply remove this argument from over here. Just save it and let's run it again. And now you can see over here that the second and third element, because we have told it to remove the two elements starting from index 2. So these two elements are now removed and we are now only left with apricot, banana and elderberry. Now we have our last function, which is the concat function. Obviously, this is the similar thing that we did for the strings in our starting sessions. I would like you to do this concat functions over the array and then let me know in the comment section if you are facing any issues in performing the concat function. So with this, I hope you have got an understanding of what are the array functions in TypeScript and how do you use them. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel so that you can get more informative videos like this.